I'm back with more movie reviews again, and I really need to stop saying that because every time I put out a batch of reviews, I then always disappear. Why was I gone for so long this time? Well, I was doing a few renovations to the set, which is really just my bedroom, new bookshelf, got new curtains, which means I need to figure out a better lighting setup because now it's not looking as good as it did. But this stupid mic, I filmed a whole probably like 20-minute review for Glass back at the beginning of February, and then I realized this mic wasn't even working the entire time. There was one time I spent, 2 hours, was getting ready to film, and I just couldn't figure out how to get this mic working, so I just gave up. I think I've got it now. The sound might be a little fuzzy on this one. Let me know if it's weird. But hey, let's catch up on some movies. So the Lego Movie 2, the second part, came out at the beginning of February. It's the sequel to the Lego Movie that everybody loved, and it's coming off the heels of Lego Batman a few years ago and Lego Ninjago, which I never saw, so I shouldn't pass too much judgment on that movie. The Lego Movie and the Lego Batman movie both did really well critically and financially. This movie's doing well critically, but not very much financially. This thing took a nosedive, seriously. And I don't really know why. Maybe it's too little too late for the Lego franchise. Maybe people felt burned after Ninjago. But I thought this movie was fun. It takes place 5 years after the first Lego movie. Bricksburg has turned into Apocalypseburg. It's like a Mad Max wasteland. And while everything is as bad as it gets worse because some aliens come and they kidnap all of Emmett's friends. So now it's up to Emmett to go and find his friends, save the day, bring them back home. I had some concerns going into the Lego Movie 2, and I'm just gonna bring those up right now. One of my concerns I did address in my most anticipated movies of the year video, which is that a lot of times sequels tend to break up the crew from the original movie, and that can work, but sometimes I feel like sequels do that just because that's the thing that sequels do. For one, I didn't want it to feel like it was a forced thing, and then for another thing, the crew in the first movie gelled so well that I wanted to see them back together for another movie. This movie still provides enough of the main crew together to where I got what I was looking for, and at the same time, it did serve a narrative purpose for the movie, one in just the overall plot is Emmett trying to get his friends back, but through being apart from his friends, Emmett goes on this emotional journey throughout the movie that I thought was really good. And my other concern going into this movie was that the Lego Movie 2 I felt like was going to start at an immediate disadvantage from the first movie. The first movie, no one really knew what to expect, and I thought it looked really bad, but the movie ended up being really awesome. But then at the end of the movie, if you've seen the end of the first Lego movie, you know that this whole world is taking place inside of this kid's head, which I think for most audiences, myself included, was just like a type of moment in the theater. And it led to a really engaging and really touching finale to the first movie. But now that Pandora's box has been opened, where does the Lego Movie 2 go with that? This movie doesn't have that element of surprise that the first movie had, so I feel like the message of this movie is a little more in your face. It's a good message, but you see it coming from a mile away. However, what this movie did really well is there's another message in there which you do kind of see coming, but it's not as blatantly obvious throughout the movie as the other one. So there's a subtle message and there's more of a, hey, this is for the kids type of message. So I think this is the type of movie that kids can watch now. They can understand the first message and they can laugh at the movie, and then down the road, when they get a little older, they can appreciate the movie on a deeper level. So those are my main two concerns about the movie, and I thought the movie handled both of them pretty well. Now getting into the rest of the movie. Animation, it's great. It's the same as the Lego Movie and the Lego Batman movie and probably Ninjago, but again, I never saw Ninjago. It's got that slight stop motion feel. I think this one, they might have tried to make it a little more fluid, but it does look really good for the movie. Even though the animated sequences are in an animated CG world, the Lego characters have those little details on them, like the rough surfaces, and Benny's spaceship helmet has that little chink in it. I think that all looks really good, and the movie's also really fast-paced. There's a lot of visual comedy in it, and because they didn't linger on one joke for too long in this movie, I felt like the movie had a really good pace about it. And sometimes I'd be laughing because there's visual comedy, but the writing is really good too. You're laughing at a joke, and because you're laughing, you miss another joke in the movie, which the first Lego movie had too. I felt like the humor just moves at a really good breakneck pace. There's definitely some jokes that fall flat in the movie, or jokes where I'm like, okay, that was for the kids, or okay, even there's a few jokes, that was for the parents. Neither one of those jokes really hit me. And then I thought the voice cast was really good too. Pretty much everybody returns from the first movie. Tiffany Haddish as the new character, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, was also really good. And Chris Pratt plays another character in this movie, Rex Dangerfield, and I was worried about him a little bit. He seemed funny, but he was also a caricature of Chris Pratt, and I wasn't entirely sure that that joke was going to last through the whole movie. But he worked for me, and he plays a really important part in Emmett's narrative journey throughout the movie, so I thought he was a good inclusion. Overall, the Lego Movie 2, I really liked. Maybe a hair less than the first one. Maybe it's geared a little more towards kids than the first movie was. Like, the first movie was kids and adults are going to enjoy it together and they're going to love it. This movie is a little more like adults are still gonna have a lot of fun out of it. There was one dude in my theater, probably like in his 40s, dying laughing. Sometimes his laugh was funnier than the jokes in the movie. But I do feel like this one is geared a little more towards kids. So yeah, I liked it a little more than the Lego Batman movie, but probably not as much as the first Lego movie. Good animation, good voice acting, a pretty good story. The movie can sometimes beat you over the head with its message, and sometimes the jokes don't always land, but I'm kind of reaching at this point for things to think of because I thought the movie was really cool. So if the Lego Movie 2 is still playing where your theaters are at, go see it because it's doing really bad. My guess is this is probably going to be the last Lego movie we get, and maybe, you know, they ended on a good note, but I wouldn't mind seeing one more. So if you're interested, go check out the movie. I thought it was a fun time. But if you have seen the Lego Movie 2, let me know what you think of it down in the comments. And thank you for watching this video. I'm going to try to have a few more reviews out soon in the next few weeks, recapping movies from February. As I'm filming this, Captain Marvel comes out in a few days, so I'm going to be talking about that. But if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe, and then you can see when those reviews come out, and I will see you guys next time.